thank all of you for coming today to this first gathering of leaders, today's leaders, and what will hopefully be an annual event from this point forward. In today's business world, leadership has become a very hot topic. With so many scandals and failures among some of the fastest rising players and stars, it's become a very key issue in today's business. Many companies and universities are trying to find out how they can define and teach what it takes to be a good leader. In response to this, the academic world has conducted extensive research in a quest for answers themselves. But before we get started, let me clearly state what is and is not a leader. A leader is not a person who coerces by threat or leverages their power to hurt subordinates. In other words, a leader is not someone who uses their position of authority or influence to manipulate those around them. Although good managers are often good leaders are not necessarily always good managers. Let me share with you two quotes that perhaps sum it up best. The first by Steve Stumpf, a researcher and renowned teacher of leadership. Steve has stated that leadership is about what you do to influence others to obtain objectives, ethically, that they otherwise would not have pursued successfully. Now let me say that again. Leadership is about what you do to influence others ethically to obtain objectives that they otherwise would not have pursued successfully. Now the second quote is from Abraham Zalesnik, a researcher and writer who seems to have laid his finger on the pulse of what is leadership. Abraham wrote in an article published by Harvard Business Review that whether his or her energies are directed towards goals, resources, organizational structures, or a person, a manager is a problem solver. Leaders, on the other hand, have a propensity to influence moods, shape expectations, and to establish direction. In essence, leaders are people who inspire others to achieve greatness and/or success through their energy, their passion, and their own vision of the future. Leaders are those people all of us want to emulate and be like. Leaders are like magnets to those around them, and they seem to draw people into their mission. They give off an energy that is contagious and motivational. The problem that lies before us is how do we create these characteristics in others, or even can we? Where do we find these leaders, and how will we know when we find them? Now these are probing questions and have been studied extensively by those in academia who teach organizational leadership and skills. Now they've discovered many things, some of which have even shocked them. Perhaps one of their most important and profound findings is that great leaders cannot be emulated per se. Greatness seems to be defined by the context of one's surroundings. As an example, both Winston Churchill and Adolf Hitler were headed into lives of mediocrity prior to World War II. The context of events that led up to World War II and the events during the war forever gave them both a place in history. Another discovery that is equally profound is that no specific set of skills or innate abilities is possessed by leaders. It would seem that we all have the potential to be leaders. Some people have certain characteristics that assist them in leadership positions, but they do not of themselves guarantee a person is destined to be a leader. According to the research conducted by Bill George and his associates, leaders are individuals who have been shaped and defined by their own lives. They are people who have taken an active interest in themselves and those around them. These individuals have learned from their successes and failures and have adapted what they learned to their own values and principles. They use these moments to allow themselves to become better people. Something else discovered by these same researchers is that true leaders are people who know who they themselves are. Now, let me say that again. That's a little tricky there. Leaders are people who know who they themselves are. These are folks who have a definite definition of values and principles in their mind and will not compromise them. Leaders are those who will take a stand no matter what the personal cost to them. This self-awareness, as they defined it, gives leaders an internal compass to guide them. Their research also uncovered a fairly common thread in the lives of those they interviewed. Nearly all reported having been influenced by mentors such as parents, teachers, coaches, etc., but also a great number told of defining moments in their lives as being ones of great tragedy. These times of suffering and or great hardship did not break them, but instead spurred them to rise to their full potential. Often they did so to alleviate or even eradicate these same situations in the lives of others. Some of the common characteristics among the 1,000 plus who were interviewed for this research were empathy, honesty, and integrity. These were shared to some level by all of them. The ideals that seemed to set some of them apart from the rest were empowerment, altruism, and a sense of purpose. Those who were able to find motivating factors outside of themselves and apart from tangible objects appeared to be the most grounded. Success that is measured by wealth, power, and or things is like trying to hang on to a tiger's tail. Many, if not most, admitted to starting out with the wrong ideas of success, chasing after those very things, hanging on to that tiger's tail only to find out that eventually it will turn around and bite you. Over the years, though, as they mature, they begin to see others as people, rather than useful things to achieving goals. They became people-centered rather than goal-centered. The great leaders are those who invest in relationships with those around them and encourage them to grow also. These leaders are not fearful of the success of others, but derive great pleasure from seeing others rise to the occasion